We should have, they ordered the vehicles last week for Public Works, for admin. Do they have yours up and ordered yet?
All of the vehicles have been ordered. There's a hiccup. I just found out with the buyer's vehicle, the one that they had requested is no longer available. And so he's got to make a decision between a different brand. But all of them have been ordered as of Friday.
Okay, thank you. You getting the Porsche or the Lamborghini? Okay.
Any other questions for Brian on the admin side? Okay, next.
Let's do legislative real quick. I'm jumping around. I'm trying to keep Bernie here as long as he can.
Okay. Legislative includes myself and council.
6.
The only income I have is open records request fees. Also, now we'll be starting the alcohol permit fees that we'll start getting in, and that's the only income that I have. Do y'all have any questions about anything?
Is that IT contract on, is that the entire city IT contract?
It's split between several different
Oh,
departments.
it's split, right, okay.
You said that's gonna need to increase?
I was
No,
being,
just
I was being facetious about the IT contract. We're not very happy with the current IT setup in this room.
Okay.
And we've invested quite a bit of resources to ensure that we would be happy, and that hasn't happened yet.
All right, I'm sure you'll pull on.
Yes.
We'll make it work.
So were we gonna start tracking open records request costs separately as a separate line item? I don't see it.
It's on the first
It's on the
page.
first, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, there it is. Okay.
138 to date.
138 today. We budgeted 150 for that. Yes.
This is actual.
That's 138 is.
Well, that's the actual income that we've received.
This is the income, yeah.
Yeah.
What about the expenses that we?
There's, no, there's.
Well, remember the policy we implemented,
Excuse me.
resident after they exceed 40 hours, and we charged
Yeah.
them for office
That's true.
time, because it was taking a lot of office time.
If somebody requests the budget, I don't track that time because it takes me 2 minutes to forward them the budget or
Yeah.
something
Right.
simple like that. So I do not track those times and those expenses.
Okay.
But if you had to mine an email from.
I keep everything.
Yeah, but if
You
we
have
had
to go-
if we had a request for several
Oh,
emails.
yes, then we get charged from
Yes.
Maverick, and I turn around and report those charges to the person.
Yeah.
And then it's up to them if they want to pay it or drop it.
Okay. Any other questions for Alicia? Thank you, Alicia. Next.
All right, let's go to development, Mr. Bernie Parker. I'm sorry we're flipping around. I'm trying to.
Okay.
Four.
Good evening, Mayor, good evening, Council. Bernie Parker, Assistant City Manager over Development. Our development department consists of plan review, which we contract with a third party, which is Bureau Veritas, both residential and commercial. There is a plan review fee that's, you'll see as a line item in there, also a building permit fee that's in there. We're also over our health inspection. We have our engineer that reviews all of our commercial development that's going through Planning and Zoning Commission. Also oversee the Board of Adjustments as far as any type of requests that are sent to that board as well. We have 2 full-time personnel within this department with also a consultant that's funded in there. And let's see here. I guess any questions you may have, I'll be happy to answer it that pertains to this development budget.
Is there anything in addition that you'd like to request to this, or you've got it all in there?
This budget is really meat and potatoes, bare bones, as far as what we had for last year. We're just carrying forward this year. You'll see the projections we have for our revenue, for our building permits. Also, you'll see your revenue projections for we do fire alarms, we do fire sprinklers, Anything that is permitted within the city of Willow Park comes through my department.
And I noticed there's a late hours alcohol permit fee, but you said that there's also a alcohol permit fee in your revenue, in the administrative revenue, or am I mistaken on that?
This is in, this one that's in mine, I think is.
It's from last year.
It was from last year, that we had it for one
Okay,
particular
but we're not doing that. Gotcha.
organization, so it's gonna fall under legislative this year.
Okay.
We do, I will say this, so you'll see an OSSF, that's a on-site sanitary sewer. We do all of our inspections in-house through Public Works. We collect a permit for that. And, all of our fees are generated from the fee schedule that has been adopted by the city council, or by the city council.
How many people are in your department, Bernie?
We have 2 full-time, myself, and we have another permit tech. And then we have Ms. Chu, which is our consultant for length.
Any other questions for Bernie? Thank you, Bernie.
Thanks, sir.
Okay. We'll go next to fire department.
Mr. Lenore, you're up.
Sir.
You look awfully nice.
Thanks, sir. Mike Lenore, good evening, Mayor and Council. Fire department's 9 firefighters, including myself. We've got 3 part-time firefighters and 9 volunteers.
So Chief, you got yourself and 8 full-time
Yes, sir.
and 9 volunteers?
9 volunteers, yes, sir.
Did you say you had 3 part-time?
3 part-time.
Okay. That's interesting.
How does the part-time work?
They cover any full-time spots that any of the full-time guys just can't cover overtime.
Okay.
They'll cover that, and then heavy fire danger days, we'll send out, hey, anybody want to come in and work, they'll come in and work, there'll be an extra person for us for the, like this summer, we've been doing pretty good on having some part-time come in to help.
I'm assuming they have other jobs, or
Yes, sir. Yeah, they're full-time firefighters, other places.
are they part of your volunteer group as well?
They're actually on a separate section. They're actually part of the full-time. The volunteers actually is still under the municipal city fire department. They have their own. I'm still over them, but they're not be part of. So they've got their own entity.
Okay.
With your volunteers, what do they cover? I mean, what types of fires? Are they on the trucks with you guys?
Yeah,
or?
they're on the trucks. Whenever we have something major come in and multiple calls, they'll come in and help. But they're driving from their home. We have 2 that live within the city. The rest are outside of the city.
Okay.
And so they'll come in, ice weather days, help out if they can, but they still have their jobs too during the day. So, but yeah, they help do the same job that we're doing now.
Okay.
Well, they're trained to do what you do.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, they're fully qualified EMT.
We've got them, some of them are, most of them are SFFMA introductory, which is a requirement for our mutual aid agreements for the Parker County. And so that's state firefighter members association.
How dependent upon the volunteers are you? On the PT and the volunteers, part-time helping?
It's, we can,
I mean,
it's
just
hit and miss.
now, yeah,
I mean,
just right
it's-
now, would you say?
Right now, part-timers, they've been coming in when they can, so maybe, might get a few work 2 to 3 times a week. Volunteers, we've got quite a few that they're coming after 5, so I don't really see them.
Okay.
And so I just see them on our training board or our attendance board that we have for them. So they've been helping out.
What's
So
your,
Chief,
What's the contractual services line item?
Contractual services line item, it's got quite a bit of it involved. It's covering some of the stuff that I wasn't able to do last year. Our jaws, we bought the new set with the new pumper. We've got to have them serviced on an annual basis.
Yes.
We've got our previous set that have never been serviced, and those are still in operation should the new set go down. And so I need to get those annually PM'd, preventive maintenance, so I've got that included on there. Hughley assessment is a firefighter assessment that we do annually. It had gotten cut last year. It assesses the firefighters for cardiac issues, blood pressure, stroke, cholesterol, gives them a TB skin test, x-ray if they need it for that. It's a nice assessment, keeps up with the health and fitness of the firefighters. Let's see. Also got dispatch services went up, part of the Parker County agreement where Parker County's not contributing as much to fire dispatch. So it went up to, we went up to from 13,525 up to 19,136.
Now, with that, speaking of.
Yes, sir.
That's something we need to work with Parker County, is if we're paying them for that, we should have some guarantee of service when they need it.
For, you talking about in-kind service or dispatch?
Dispatch service, I mean, in their fire, that major fire they had
Uh-huh.
this last year, you know, they couldn't talk on the radios because it was jammed up.
I think, yes, you're absolutely right that we want that guarantee. Correct me if I'm wrong, Chief, but I think Parker County has heard from a number of other agencies, in addition to Willow Park, about specifically the comms issue.
Yes, they have, and
That's being worked on.
it's being worked on, and we'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
Just, if we're gonna give them money, get something in return for it.
Rest assured, Parker County's on it.
Contractual services, going back to that, Chief,
Yes,
it's
sir.
45 budgeted this year.
Yes, sir.
Year to date, we're at 3,800. Well, we go up to that, to 45?
Move some other items that I had from other line items into the contractual. That way it's an annual thing, and it's all in one section. That's
Okay.
why it went up.
Okay.
I've got Centos Fire for fire extinguishers for the entire city coming out. ESO is our new record management system. Firehouse software was bought out by ESO. That money went up, so I had to adjust for it, and it's got some features that we don't have that I would like to have that are going to make
So
fire
then-
inspections easier.
End of the year, this will go up.
Yes, sir, it should.
Okay.
It should finish out.
Okay.
Let's see. A lot of them are the firehouse contract that we have now. Also, Active 911, it's our part of our dispatch system. Waterway is our annual contract for our fire hose and ladder testing, which is a state requirement. That went up. We had more fire hose. Cost of that testing went up. Unfortunately, I ended up being over budget on it because of the new pumper coming in. We had to have all that hose tested. Lone Star Supplies, our contracting for our multi-gas systems that we use. We've got quite a few monitors, and we've been also testing some of the public works monitors as well, that just as part of our budget.
Where do you all get your fuel from?
We get ours from Haygood and Campbell.
Do they come?
We go to them for right now. At the public safety building, we're supposed to have a fuel depot there at the
new one?
public safety building.
Okay, good.
And so during the hurricane, they were gracious enough to hold the city over extra fuel for that.
The one on
time.
Bankhead?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Chief, you have, a pretty substantial increase in your supplies overall in that budget. Are some of those supplies things that you anticipate that's just this year expense to bring it up, and then next year's budget wouldn't need to be that? Or is that just what it's taking?
Can you give me the exact?
Well, I'm looking at your total of this year's budget, you had about 100K, and you're going up over 200K in total supplies.
Bear with me 1 second.
That would be my second page of fire. That would be,
I think
let's see,
58,207,004 would probably be the big one there, Mike, you're looking at.
Looking at PPE?
Yeah, your PPE is going to be
Okay.
Well,
Yeah.
that and motor vehicle maintenance.
motor vehicle,
Right.
PPE.
Motor vehicle maintenance, I could probably just say that's self-explanatory with the Pierce. And as much maintenance as we've had, it's gonna continue
okay.
until that truck goes away.
But the PPE,
The
is that
PPE
something
is gonna
that-
be 7 sets of bunker gear. Those are at 2,600 apiece. And so those are going out. State requires us to replace those every 10 years.
10 years,
And
okay,
they're
that's
going
what I
out.
was-
And so that's why
We get
that one hit us so hard.
Right.
And then we've also, from the January 22nd fire, we found out that fighting fire in full bunker gear is not fun. So we decided the increase on that was for wildland firefighting gear. So that should go down because that's to outfit all of us,
Right.
including volunteers.
Right.
Chief, the new building comes online next summer, so the plan to move everything over there, and if there's new equipment that has to be purchased, is all that taken care of in this budget? So,
Yes, sir.
okay.
Yeah, we've got our SCBA system that we'll be transferring over, and we've got the our contract service, August Industries that'll come and move it for us. That way everything's set up correctly the way that we need it.
Okay. And then the next question is we're seeing more and more, it appears that there's potentially more and more 3-story plus buildings that are, would like to make this their home, this little park. So what's the plan for a fire engine to support those structures?
The current fire engine that we have made a huge change. We're gonna have to do a ladder truck. We're at our required capacity between gallons per minute requirement of 6,000 and our height requirements combined, we're really over. And so we need to really consider doing a ladder truck soon. And
Now, you said your other engine was getting warm. When do you think about replacing it?
I'd love to next year, but I'd rather have a ladder truck first and keep that as a reserve pumper until it finally just meets its motor vehicle maintenance nightmare.
We're going to be discussing a ladder truck in the next month or so.
Just for that, just to prep that discussion, ladder truck, if you ordered one today, what's the turnaround time?
It takes 11 months to build.
Okay, so I thought it was 18.
No, it takes 11 months to build. So if we ordered it now, it'd be about ready for when the new station will be finished before it's ready.
Okay.
Okay.
What's the ballpark price on a ladder truck?
Unfortunately, we lost the 1.2 because of the tariffs. So now we're up to 1.3 and change. I can get you a ballpark official if you need one.
I want to ask a stupid question. Do they have cities that don't need them anymore, or are they out anywhere where someone's bought one and can't afford it or don't need it, or do they have anything like that?
They've got programs out there. The problem is you're buying someone else's nightmare. And so if they have a major pump issue, and when it's being sent to the dealership to be sold off,
Or something
it
wrong?
might not be disclosed. And so you might end up having a new issue.
So it doesn't come under the blue lemon law or something?
No, sir. Not that I'm aware of.
We don't need any open box items.
Okay, thanks, Mike. Any other questions for Mike?
Yes, sir. For overtime, so far year to date, you had 42,000 and some change, and you've got 45,000 budgeted. If we got you a new firefighter, would that go down?
No, sir, it'll actually go up. Unfortunately, I'd asked for more for the overtime. Most of the personnel have not been able to take 5 shifts off or whatever the requirement is for the city handbook. And so effectively lose their time or get paid off for the time. That's what the 36,000 was, to help kind of control that, between that and training and personnel calling off sick. That's why the number's up.
So no additional firefighter would help reduce the overtime?
No, sir.
Any other questions for Mike?
Is there anything else you would like that's not listed here?
3 firefighters would be great.
Do you have a cost estimate for us on that and what it would be?
I don't have the numbers crunched.
What are you looking at salary-wise for a new fireman?
Or you can just have them the next meeting.
Well, we'll get to this here in a second.
Apologize for not having that ready.
No, we had this discussion the other day in the office. So.
I think Charlie had the answer.
New firemen are 42,126.
So 40 to 45,000.
Yes, sir.
So you're looking at roughly 140, 150,000 for salary for those 3.
And that's just base salary?
That's just base salary.
Right, that's right.
Your Benny package is going to be, for a fireman, probably another 10 per. So you're looking at another 30,000 for that. Do you have PPE for the? So we got to do PPE for the new 3. So for 3 additional firemen, ballpark is a legacy cost. Well, your legacy cost, in other words, continuing cost, is going to be roughly 150. Your supply cost is going to be, I'd say about 75 for 3 of them. But your supply cost will deviate.
Right.
But that legacy cost will continually be there. And the difficulty in hiring the fire department, and me and Mike's had this conversation, you can't hire 1. You got to hire 3.
Yeah.
And so it's not like, with Carrie, she can add another patrolman, and fire's a little bit more concentrated.
It's a crew.
Yes. But that's also why, and I said this in the cover page, that's also why there's some discrepancy here, because if y'all choose to add additional firemen, we can cover that with that discrepancy. I know that we're going to have some budget surpluses. I know we're going to have some. These are the good times. But I really like to plan for, especially when it comes to the fire department, to have a built-in mechanism to pay for that salary.
Right.
We can fluctuate on the supplies. We can make that PPE. We can extend that life. But what I don't want to do is hire 3 firemen in 2018. Something happens in 2020, and now we got to go and say, got to go lay somebody off.
Right.
I think we're getting to that point. I don't think we're there yet. I think we're getting there, and I think we're getting there at a fast speed, but I don't think we're quite there yet. Anything else from Mike?
Do you know roughly what that would be tax-wise if we added, just out of curiosity?
Probably, I put a 4% cushion in there.
Mm-hmm.
It would cover your salary costs for 3.
Mm-hmm.
And we could figure out how to supply them.
Okay.
Through surplus or whatever, however we need to make that work.
Well, and that 4% is for anything and everything if we'd like to add. It's to cover all of that. So if we don't add in other places, it's not going to go up for, the full 4%.
Yeah, I mean, that 4% is going to get you, it'll get you roughly another 100, what do you think, Jake, another 150, 160?
Okay.
Just back of the napkin math.
Mm-hmm.
And that would cover your salaried positions.
Gotcha.
I want to be clear. I think Mike has a need for it. There's a clear need. When he's talking about his guys not being able to take, they basically lose their PTO because they can't afford to take off work. You know, that's we could make that, we could adjust that in the personnel policy for another year if we needed to. But there's a clear need for this. I mean, I think you asked for this last year, correct?
Yes, sir. I don't
And,
think it got addressed to council, though.
okay. I can see the need for it. The problem is you got to bite the whole thing at one time. You got to take that huge bite. Another question that I have is, if you got your 3 guys, where are you going to put them for the next year?
Right now, I'm good. That's why I asked for 3 and not 4. So,
Well, thank you.
yeah. It's just feasible. There's not room for 4 firefighters in the fire side
At the moment.
at the moment.
But the new building
The new building is ready.
will accommodate a full, an additional
It'll
crew.
accommodate more than that.
Okay.
So,
Is this something moving forward that we could address in 3 or 4 or 5 months and not have to wait? Is it something we could do between now and the next budget period?
Well, you can always add personnel if the situation demands it. And we can make cuts accordingly. If the sales tax numbers come up, I hate funding personnel based off of sales tax, but you could get you through this period, and then you can see where your tax values are next year and what the impact would be, and so on and so forth. The door isn't closed if you don't do the 3 today.
That's what I'm saying. Does that make sense?
yes, sir. Absolutely.
We'll address it. We'll keep addressing it until at the point in time when we can do it.
Yeah.
I promise you that.
Sounds fair.
Any other questions for Mike?
Would more part-time workers help you any, or is it's just 3 men, or, full-time, or,
For
I'm
us,
just trying to think of a way
It's
that your
best
guys
to
can
have
get.
the 3, that way
Well,
they train together, they know how everybody
Gotcha.
works, it's all systematic and fluid. We're training the part-timers, we're training the volunteers, but everybody has their limits.
I'm going to ask an obvious question. I think I know the answer. If you got 3 additional full-time and you have 3 part-time, does that part-time number go away?
Probably stay the same.
Okay. That's what I thought the answer was going to be.
Yeah.
I was just trying to figure out a way that our guys can have PTO. I didn't know if we had another, part-time crew, if it would allow for that.
We've been balancing out, the captain's been taking a lot of the brunt of it. Kevin, the fire inspector, I've done a shift. I'm not supposed to do a shift, but I've done a shift just to make sure the guys get time off, because that's my goal.
Yeah.
I guess what I'm asking, is that something you'd like to explore, or not worth it?
The problem is, the more people, I'm scrapped on gear right now.
Okay, gotcha.
And so I don't have,
There's
there's a give and take.
a chicken and egg thing, because you can go hire 3 new firemen, then you got to invest another 75 or 100 or whatever it's going to be
Yeah.
to
Equip them.
equip them. And you can do one or both. You can do one or the other, but you can't do both, and you got to do both.
Chief, we'll keep working on it.
Cool, I appreciate it, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mike. Let's see. Up next, Chief West.
Mayor and Council, Chief West, Police Department. I think capital assets right now, we have a fleet of 12 vehicles, 4 of which are inoperable. We currently have 12 full-time slots, that includes myself. We have 1 non-sworn, and we have 4 reserves.
So that was 12 full-time,
12
and what was the other numbers?
1 non-sworn civilian, and 3 reserves.
Excuse me. It might seem sounding silly, but oils and lubricants and fluids, you'll only use $515 a year? Is it, or you're only projected to use,
That's special events.
huh?
That's special events. That's the next line item. Oh, there's two
Okay.
515, sorry.
Okay,
Excuse me.
oils, lubricants, and fluids, the current budget is 500. This budget, we used about 200, so that's not covering oil changes and things like that.
Okay.
That's like when we have to go to O'Reilly's and get some windshield washer fluid.
Okay.
Or like the blades, or
Okay.
the miscellaneous things that we can kind of do ourselves.
Uh-huh.
Kind of related to vehicle maintenance, but the big stuff like oil changes, tires, tire rotations, those kinds of things are in the bigger line item.
Yeah, okay. I was gonna see if I could get that discount.
Yeah. Some of our big increases this year, one of them was 5,000 for fuel. We've been going over that. I think with the enterprise agreement, that will reduce that even further with the bulk prices that they get. Uniforms and supplies went up about 2,500, and that's to cover this year. We have, I believe, 9 bulletproof vests that are coming up for renewal, and we will not find out until later in September whether we actually get the grant. We get the grant, and that'll pay for almost half of those, but nothing is ever for certain until we see the final email on those.
But this 12.5 would cover,
12.5 will cover the new position that we've asked for, the sergeant's position. It will cover the replacement vests and then a few replacement uniforms for those who need them. The other one that went up significantly is travel and training. And basically, those of you who were on council last year, you remember we had to make up the roughly $23,000 of the Leo's funds. So it was split into 2 years. Half went last year, half will be this year, another $11,900. With the rest of the city budget, city departments, their travel and training budget was running around $800 to $900 a person, just averaged. What do you say, napkin math?
back of the napkin, man? Yeah.
So when I talked with the city administrator, I said, if the state comes in and looks at this and we've got a $4,000 budget, and then we've got this other stuff in the state that we're correcting, it's not going to look good. So we really need to be more in line with the other city departments. And so we increased that line item. Contractual services went up a little bit, and that covers our dispatch services with Crawford County. It also covers 2 additional laptops that we're going to purchase that will be included in the vehicle prices that were approved last month with Enterprise. And then animal control has gone up significantly with Crawford County and Weatherford. City of Weatherford bills us for that, and it's substantial this year. It's about a 9% increase.
Now, is that picking up animals? What is it? Animal control? Are you shooting them, or what are you doing?
What it should be, or is it what we're getting?
What it should be.
What it should be is that we can pick up animals, we can take them to a animal control facility that houses them, and hopefully they are adopted. I'm an animal lover, so I'm not a no-kill shelters.
So what is it really?
I know of one instance this year when they didn't even come out on a dog bite.
I'm sorry?
They did not respond when we had a dog bite in the city.
Okay.
And they're required to respond to those events. So, city manager and I have talked about it, and we're going to revisit this next year with maybe some different options to present to council so that we can get what we should be getting for the money we're spending.
On that note, if we did an ACO position, what kind of salary range would we be looking at for an ACO?
I think you need to start them around, I haven't done a market, called around, but I would guess around $17, $18 an hour.
Okay.
Cost of a vehicle with the proper bed on it. And then, we don't have to go to Weatherford for a shelter. I mean, we can shop and get charged per animal. So we're not tied to them for that. I think we can shop around and get a better deal for that. But it's, as you said before, it's a legacy cost that we would have to be able to support.
Yeah. Well, if you're paying $55 for it right now.
I think we're getting real close to being able to support that.
Yeah, it's not. Okay, so if you did all that outside the upfront costs, let's just take salary to the side. You got to buy a vehicle. That's probably going to run you about $40 by the time you get the truck and you get the equipment. And
Probably 50 by the time you buy a truck, get the equipment, buy their personal uniforms.
So if you're going to do the full supply, I was just talking about the vehicles.
I would say 45 on, maybe almost 50.
Okay. So you're looking at maybe 100 grand for an ACO position, total equipment?
That's if we bought the truck outright.
If you bought the truck outright, yeah.
If we add it to the enterprise, it would be significantly less.
Okay.
Any other questions for Carrie?
Chief, are you getting the cars you need, I mean, the replacement ones? Are they what you need for?
Yes, we pay on cars. We had 12 cars, and we had 12 officers. And so the need for each person to have their own vehicle that would sit for their days off is not cost effective. It's, especially with those brands of vehicles, they weren't performing well. They're always in the shop. I think you mentioned earlier, they're not great, but then when you add in the rural area and everything, they're really not great. So we'll keep going with all SUVs, whether they're Tacos or whatever will be discussed with Enterprise when that comes due next year. But we're going all SUVs, and so now our fleet will be 10 instead of 12. I would like to keep my supervisors. The sergeant's position would get his own car, and then the 2 corporals would share a vehicle because they're on opposite nights. So we're good on vehicles. Thank you.
What about communication equipment? Are we set there for now? I know we did some upgrades a while back.
I think that may be coming shortly.
Yes. You'll see a proposal probably sometime this fall that would go on next year's budget for all new radios for the fire department and PD. About 400 and, what was it say, Mike, 475?
No, sir, it was,
Please tell me I was high.
I think it's higher than that.
Well,
I think it's higher than that.
373 and 71.
Okay, so it's 100 off on the good side. Okay. What you'll see is we'll probably try to get those radios in the fall and get those updated. I think, I haven't really discussed this with the chiefs. I'd like to, the radios themselves, will y'all still be able to communicate with Parker County? What's the value of the radios?
The handheld, well, we've got them all programmed to do complete interoperability with every agency that surrounds us.
Yes.
So we've got UHF, I don't know, you're the radio guy.
The new radios are multi-band, so they'll be UHF, VHF, and able to communicate digital. Trunking, they'll be able to communicate with Weatherford, with Fort Worth, with any of our mutual aid companies between those departments.
So who manages making sure that all these communication systems are compatible? Is that at the regional level? Does Homeland Security define that? How's that done?
That was done through P25 compliance right after 9/11 for the interoperability between the units.
Okay.
But then, so we're compliant now. I mean, we can talk to each other, but the channels don't always jive, like the day of the fire. I can't, on these radios, get fire ops where he was operating. So we were communicating by telephone.
All right.
That answer your question?
Yeah. So what about from a equipment standpoint? How are our officers, from weapons and things like that? I mean, is there any upgrades or anything like that that are needed, or?
In 2017, council approved our purchase of all weapons and all leather gear out of our Chapter 59 seizure fund. And so all of those are only a couple of years old. We won't be looking at replacing weapons for another couple of years.
Okay.
As these cycle out, they're about every 5 years, 6 years or so. And leather gear we replace as needed, but it's still pretty new, so that's all in good shape. But we, as a new person comes in, all of that is the cost of the new person.
Yeah. Okay.
And you have a full complement of non-lethal, I guess you could call them weapons, but.
We have tasers, we have pepper spray, and we have asbatons. And tasers just went online earlier this year.
New body cams?
Yes.
The
Yes.
5 units that we purchased last year for the existing Tahoe were a package deal that included 5 body cams. So they are equipped with body cams.
Okay. So every new package that comes online, and they're all
We're
getting
doing
those?
body cams with each new vehicle.
Okay.
Any other questions for Carrie?
What brand service weapon do you issue?
Glock.
Okay.
Thanks, Carrie. We're going to take a 5-6 minute recess at 7:35. We will come back and finish. Thanks, everyone.
Raymond, you're going to be up.
7:35, here we go. Raymond, when Mr. Grimes sits down, you are on.
Where's
Some
Greg?
smart remark I heard, I know.
What happened to Greg?
Greg is,
Gotcha.
Raymond, you may go.
Okay, Raymond Johnson, Public Works. We consist of 5 departments. Basically, you got street department, water distribution, water production, wastewater treatment, and wastewater collection.
Raymond, just for right now, they're looking at your public works budget.
Right, we have 3.
Yeah, we'll do water and wastewater here in a second.
Okay.
Is that okay?
All right, so here we go, the street department. We have 1 employee in that department, which he works in water and sewer and street department as well.
Is it fair to characterize your entire department does all sorts of things?
They do all sorts, they do everything. Every guy in the department works, does it all.
Yep.
And how many employees do you have? I'm sorry?
We have 1 in the street department.
Okay.
And you see the street department budget basically identical from last year. Really no changes there at all. Are there any questions with it?
We did, yeah.
You had 20,000 in there for road-based material paving, and then there was the street repair materials was zeroed out.
That's because the county is doing
So
the street repair.
the 100,000 in that county ILA, that basically
That's
took that care of. Okay,
It is.
all right,
What we have in asphalt material, that is
Yes.
pothole material.
right. Yeah, so the only materials left that are in here are basically your quick fix and your little fixes for like concrete and all that stuff. Okay.
And
So I'm looking at, looking at the right page. So your current budget was, for salaries, was 38,142, and for next year, you're only asking 29,994?
yeah, I have to ask Candy to help me with that one. I don't.
Yeah. I think there's a typo between a 2 and a 3.
Yeah.
I think it's reversed.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think it is.
Yes. Yeah, your FY and your current are reversed.
Do you want me to go get her?
Yes, please.
Hey Bernie, do you have a sports coat in your office?
It looks like on all the personnel it's
Yes,
flipped.
it is.
You don't.
On that particular issue,
Okay.
it is, yeah. I'm gonna make some coffee.
I know. Reason. I asked him if he had a sports coat in his office. I was gonna.
I got a quilt in my
Yeah,
car.
I'm gonna snuggle up with you.
Yeah.
Salary, we
Salary
flipped,
on the street department.
on streets, we flipped
There were
it.
2 people.
No, we
that
flipped
were
it
in-
though. If you look at YTD and you look at the budget, you look at the current budget and the proposed,
Went down.
we flipped them.
Because there were 2 people budgeted for this year, and there's only 1 person. So there's only 1 person budgeted for next year.
There was 2 people budgeted for last year?
For this, yes.
Okay.
In streets.
And we only have 1 person. That's why if you'll look, our year-to-date is only
16.
Okay.
Because we lost a person, and that person has never been replaced in Public Works.
Okay.
Wasn't aware of that. When I got here, I had 1 employee.
And that's all you knew.
No one told me I had 2. I would hire 1.
And I kind of want to, Raymond covers a lot of hats. The entire Public Works crew carries a lot of hats. So the same guy that's working on well number 9 or fixing the water leak over by Sprouts Nursery is also the same guy that's shoveling material into a pothole. And so it's kind of an accounting nightmare.
So the only thing I have on this, Raymond, and again, this is, I don't want you to bear the brunt of anything, but, so, what you have for next year as far as asphalt materials, road base, and everything, is that just for repair?
That's just for repairs. The asphalt is just for potholes.
Right.
The road base will be, like after we do a water main break, we have to fix a road. If it's out in the road, we'll use that road base as well to backfill the hole.
So I know we have some work going on with the county on some roads, but what are we gonna fix next year?
So next year's plan will be, let's probably sit down with Raymond and get a good number of where we need to go. We'll probably start working on some streets, probably off of Squaw Creek. Then everything's going to be on the north side of town. You're not going to put street funds into your neighborhood or my neighborhood or Dole's neighborhood or any place where there's concrete. You're not going to put street maintenance funds into. So you're looking at your older streets. Buena Vista is a good one.
And we're addressing that later on, aren't we?
Is that what that's what that 100,000
Yeah,
is?
that's what
the
that
very
100,000
last line item.
Yeah. So, I'm sorry, Gary.
Yeah, very
So-
last.
The very last line item is Parker County Street Improvements, the ILA.
Okay, yeah, that's one.
Yeah.
Okay.
But specifically, which streets we're going to address
It's
now?
by need.
Yeah, yeah,
As needed basis.
yeah.
Yeah, no, we can come.
Any other questions for Raymond on the streets? And we'll go to the next one. Okay, next item.
Okay. What? I'm sorry? Well, let's go to water, and then we'll do wastewater last.
10.
In the water salaries,
Hold on, Raymond, let him get there.
I believe that's part of my salary for employees. And a public works secretary.
You said there's 4.
Yes, sir, 4 filled.
Plus half of you.
Plus half of me. And public works secretary, and she also covers code enforcement. Questions with the budget?
I know as a council, we all appreciate the work you all did in the water.
Yeah.
Yes, we do.
And from March to recently, and I don't know if it's total under control, but it's much better than what it was. But I know you guys worked hard and we appreciate it. In fact, I think a couple of months ago, the city manager and I took your guys to lunch, thanking them for what they did.
They appreciate that.
Yeah, well, we appreciate what they did also.
Y'all are heroes right now, you really are.
So I appreciate it. And any other questions for
Yeah.
Raymond on the water?
Yeah, I do. So we don't have filters right at the wellheads where it is. So there was some talk of that some time back. I mean,
That was before I got.
Right.
Yes.
So I'm not sure, where that ever went, but the intent being that we cut down on the amount of minerals in the system, and help people, not have so many problems with their houses, and other issues in the system. So at that time, I thought there was a cost of something like $40,000 that rings a bell that we were going to set aside at that point, to put all these filters on. Is that something to even consider? I mean,
Well, there's no filters out there. I have not priced any type of filters out, looked into any of this.
okay,
But we can look into it and
okay.
get you some pros and cons of them.
Yeah,
what they'll
like how
do.
long it'll last
Yeah,
and
how
with
long
the
it'll last,
maintenance and all that.
some different types of filters.
Okay. Yeah, I'd like to, I don't know, what do you hear from the population about this sort of issue, so?
About water quality?
Yeah.
You're asking a West Texas man.
You're asking what we have the
They
water.
have rocks.
I grew up in East Texas, I can tell you about quality water.
I can tell you what fluoride tastes like.
We don't have one here.
Yeah, I know.
There's very little in the water, I've looked. So,
Most of the people who talk to me about water, they're typically paying their water bill, and so they're not exactly appreciative of the quality or the taste at that particular time. The only constant I keep hearing is better than Weatherford water.
Well, our water is hard. I mean,
Yeah.
it's groundwater, it's hard water.
Right.
So, like, if you don't have a water softener, which we don't, our house wasn't plumbed for it. I've been in there 4 years, and I've changed the elements on my water heater. I've changed the bottom element 3 times, the top element twice, because the hardness of the water will just cake up and it basically builds up sediment. You have to drain your tank, you have to suck it all out. But that's why, I mean, and that's just the difference between groundwater and surface water generally.
Well, and I think you're asking for the price because that is a concern that we hear a lot from residents. So I'm guessing that's why you were
Well,
requesting.
yeah, I
I
mean,
mean, it's
this
not.
was this came
Yeah,
up
it's an
several
ongoing
years
thing.
ago,
Yeah.
3 years ago.
The
And,
filter's not gonna change your water.
No.
No, it's,
No.
it's almost a it's
No.
a softener type. You have to
Yeah.
change the.
You-
so the filters aren't really gonna do anything.
It-
Citywide water.
And I'm sitting there going, we got 24 wells, right? I mean,
Yeah.
you couldn't. I guess you could maybe, if you got all the wells tied in to get ground storage, then you could filter it there.
Yeah, you'd have to filter it through each ground storage tank, where it enters the ground storage tank.
I think the water softener, that's the ticket, and
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
It's really something that when a citizen has a home built, they need to make sure the builders are putting them, or at least plumbing the houses for them. I mean, ours was already built, so we could add it, but I think for us to add, it's about $4 or $5 grand.
we got one
So-
for 2,400.
Okay.
But you can add.
I mean, you talk to your
filters
guy.
at your house for cheap.
Yeah.
The filter is cheap, it's the water softener that's
Yeah.
expensive. So
But it's,
more effective than
it's
that.
needed for this type of water. Any other questions for Raymond on water?
Yes, sir.
Question?
So under capital expenses, so what's the plan there? You have almost $1.5 million towards capital.
Yes.
Okay, the capital expenses are gonna be used to rehab some of the wells and also water meters.
Okay, and that's planned for this coming year.
Planned for this coming year.
So, and that, Brian, that covers the list that we have for the rehab plan?
Yes. 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 The priority clearly is going to be well rehab first, and then meters will be second.
And that'll be eliminating the non-automatic read meters to get meters that we don't have to have manually read.
Yes.
All the new services are getting the cell readings. All the meters that we go out and do reconnect or a new transfer that have over 1 million gallons, we found them with 3 million, we put a new cell meter in
Yep.
it. So we replaced them.
So, and I want to bring this up shortly, but I think it was Carrollton that's under a lawsuit right now for those automatic meters, right?
Okay.
That was in the news just the other day. So we want to be careful.
I think the Carrollton suit, is that because they replaced, when they went old?
It seems like I saw something come across my.
Yeah, I'm
But I don't
trying-
know that it was the.
Their water bills went up
But what they're-
200%.
Yeah, well, your water bills, so when you replace an old meter, and I had a very nice couple, I can't tell you a side on this one, but when you replace an old meter, it's going to be more accurate.
Sure.
So I had a couple come in, they were very adamant that their meter was wrong and that their water bill was inflated because of the old meter. And they demanded a new one. So we replaced the meter. And I told the husband, I said, these things read 99.9% accurate. So if you have a water leak, you're going to find out real quick. I think Chase went out about 2:30 that afternoon, replaced the meter, and that dude's just spinning. And within 2 or 3 minutes, the homeowner said, "Turn it off, I got a leak." Most people aren't that's a rare interaction. So when you replace the new meter, you're going to be getting an accounting of exactly how much water went through that thing. And so In the Carrollton case, I don't know if, unless there was some sort of tampering with the meter.
Yeah, who knows? I just
Yeah.
know they're under a lawsuit.
Yeah, that's going to be a hard one for them to win. If it's going through the meter and it's brand new, they're paying for it.
Then the other question I have, Raymond, the 185.5 for heavy equipment.
That is your excavator.
Is that the one we're gonna trade in for
Yes.
something?
Yeah, that's our trade-in.
Yeah.
We're gonna trade that in for another piece of equipment.
That may actually be we have two pieces of equipment that we're looking to trade in and get two, I don't say new pieces of equipment, but two pieces of equipment that'll be used more frequently than the two that's sitting out there not doing anything.
Okay.
But if that trade-in didn't happen, I wanted to make sure that we had it in the budget to cover it.
For a mini excavator, it's for a attachment for our grade all mower, so we can mow the ditches. A new backhoe. We have two fairly old backhoes.
Yeah.
They have a lot of play in them.
Right.
We operate them.
We're gonna trade that
Very
in for
dangerous.
those. We're gonna trade this in for those.
Right.
Now, how are we doing, and this brings up to the other, with the gentleman we've been working with, as far as leak detection. Do you have the equipment you need so we can find leaks without having to tear up?
We do have a sound that we put it in the ground we have here, and we can hear it, and we have found a couple of leaks with it. We do have that piece of equipment. It's a good piece of equipment.
Do you need any more?
How can you detect a leak under a slab?
No.
Yeah.
We don't have that equipment.
On a side note, I called Dollar General, that ditch down there, the other side of Dollar General, that about across the street from Willow Park Baptist. Anybody see that, how the grass had grown up? The county came and mowed that for us. I don't know if that was your deal or if I should have called y'all, but Steve Dugan sent a crew out there and mowed that.
It's like half county, half us.
Yeah.
But they came and did it.
Yeah.
You've seen it, hadn't you?
Yeah.
They didn't pick up the trash in it, but they cut the grass. Anything else for Raymond?
Yeah, on the water, with the line replacement we did last year, first part of this year, did we get rid of all the cast iron pipe, or is there still some in the ground?
There's still some in the ground. There is definitely still some in the ground. And we have fixed several leaks, at the bales is where they seem to leak. But yes, there's still, I don't know what percentage is still in the ground, but we do still have quite a bit.
All right, so we need to come up with a game plan to get rid of that.
Yes. We have not had one repair where they've replaced that water line. We haven't had one repair there, anywhere, service line or nothing.
So do we have anything in this budget for,
Not for that.
When you came on, you said there was like 25% water loss, and now it's down to 8%.
Yeah, we had 8% last month.
Yeah, I mean, that's impressive.
Yeah, it's good. The
Very
new
good.
meters are helping.
Yeah.
I pulled a meter out, had 7 million gallons usage on it. It was still working. I don't know how good it was working. It was still running, but it had 7 million gallons on it.
So,
Last man's 1 million.
so on the cast iron pipe, what's the path forward? Do we need to get an estimate of what's still out there and the game plan of how much it's going to cost?
You would probably want to get a linear footage of what cast iron has. What did Housley put in?
I don't know the footage right off.
No, well, was it a poly pipe?
C900.
Okay.
Yeah.
PVC C900. I just don't remember the footage.
Okay. Okay. If you're going back with C900, then the cost won't be significant. I'll put it to you that way. If you're coming back in with poly pipe, that gets a little bit dicey.
Where our expense comes in is digging. We have a lot of rock. So they have to bring some heavy equipment in.
That'd definitely be something we'd want to contract out.
Yeah, you have to contract that out.
but what did we replace with the new line that we put in?
We replaced cast iron with C900 PVC. The minimum depth 3 foot on it everywhere. Some of it's 4 foot.
So our only plan on those pipes is as we find leaks, replace them. We don't have a go out and find where we still have cast iron and replace it plan.
Not in this.
Not in this budget.
No. It's expensive to replace water lines. So, I mean, we can do a footage yearly.
That's what I would prefer, is
Yeah.
just plan
Yeah.
to go and do a
Replace.
section.
Okay.
We can definitely look at that and get a footage of a cost of, say, 5,000 feet, what it would cost to replace 5,000 feet.
Is there a master plan that tells us where all that pipe is?
Yes, sir, we have some maps.
Good.
And we rely on employees that have been here 12 years. And dig, yeah, I remember
Where is that?
cast iron there, yeah.
Anything else for Raymond on the water? Thanks, Raymond.
Stewart?
Yes, sir.
Sewer, I think half of my salary's there as well, and 2 sewer employees, they take care of the sewer plant, the 3 lift stations, and also the collection system. They also read meters and help with water leaks, and they'll be hanging the sheetrock here behind. So,
Well, you
Very
had to
talented
get
guys.
you had to get your dig in, didn't
yeah,
you?
there you go.
I can tape the float. Go on.
I come back from lunch and this place is covered in plastic.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
I said, what are you doing?
It will be cleaned up.
So there's nothing new that we have to add to the plan or anything to keep them running for the
No,
next
new
2 or 3
plant's
years?
online, doing great, producing good numbers. So we don't anticipate, everything has a 1-year warranty there, so we're good there, so.
What's our
What's the
capacity?
utilization? Is it split between the old plant and the new plant, or?
No, the old plant's.
Totally shut
It's
down?
empty, yeah, we need to tear it down and remove it.
Is that part of this budget?
It's part of the package plant force main budget, so, yeah, that money's already
Okay.
there. So Derek and I are working on figuring out how we're gonna get rid of that plant. It's gonna have to be cut up and removed. It's been cleaned out. We've hired a company to come in and clean out all the old sludge and wash it down, so it's ready for you take this part.
What's their capacity now?
500,000 a day.
Where are we
Around
at?
200.
I'm sorry?
200.
We're at 200.
200,000 a day.
Very good.
Yep.
Well, what's our timeline? We got 3 years to get that thing, get it gated.
Well, 4 from right now.
Yeah.
We had five from the start and 4 from right now.
And like I said, the plant's producing good numbers.
Right.
So very pleased with it.
How's our phosphorus?
It's 99% removal.
Well,
It's like amazing. I think we had.
The Weatherford guys okay with that?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, me and Richard had spoken about it. So I think it was coming in 5.9, but it left at 0.12. It was good.
Okay.
We had on takeoff, it was difficult. We were just seeding the new plant. So, it's good.
we don't have any lingering issues with the state about, all these fines and everything we had at the old plant. All that's cleaned up and
All that's cleaned up.
taken care of.
And we're not paying any more fines, right?
No.
No. Not unless you want me to.
The only thing we
Anything
have
else?
trouble
Go
with
ahead.
in the wastewater department is Kingsgate Lift Station.
Mm-hmm.
We have spent around $58,000 in repairs at that plant this year. It is basically due to rags entering the plant, entering the lift station. It's burned up 3 pumps. It's destroyed main breakers, overloads. We've had cleanouts. We scheduled 3 cleanouts, just maintenance cleanouts on it this year. We just had it cleaned out a month ago, and within 3 weeks after it cleaned out, 3 main breakers blew and 3 overloads blew. We had to set up bypass pumping, which was $6,000 to set up the bypass pump for a week, get the starters and breakers rebuilt. So that's something that we need to look at. It's not in this budget, but Derek and I have been talking about looking at putting some kind of screen or muffin monster, they call it, on the lift station to catch the rags coming in before they enter, because they're destroying the pond. We have 2 more lift stations identical like it, and, you know, just.
What is causing the
It's
trouble?
rags, we're getting heavy rags. When I say rags in wastewater, it could be a t-shirt, it could be underwear, it could be mop heads.
We were
Somebody's
flushing
flushing
this
that
look
stuff
on
down.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I've been on site.
If-
Not believe.
They have these wipes that are not degradable that get in there.
Oh, yeah.
And they destroy your pump and your equipment. Each time a breaker or overload trips, that's taking life out of your breaker and your overload. So,
Is it one certain area? Can you narrow it down to where it's coming from?
well, we believe it's coming from the hospital.
Well, we might want to address that.
Yeah. We just found that out like 2 weeks ago. We went out looking at manholes and that's where it was coming from. So,
That's
Yeah,
what
we-
you guessed back in
We can make a
January.
note and we can visit with them about that.
Yes.
we need to.
Yeah, could they?
I wanted to get
Could they set up some kind of
Wanted to
filtering
talk to
system
them.
on
Well,
their
that's
side?
why I'm looking
I
at
wanna
Pipe
make
Hunter
sure.
to get me a filter, because they do make filters
Yeah.
and put in the
Yeah, but that's something the hospital
main line,
should
yeah.
bear the cost they would put on there.
Yeah, we'd have to pull it and check it daily.
Yeah.
Daily?
Maybe more.
Oh, that's
It'll
true.
stop us.
According to the
It'll
backup.
stop us.
What percentage are you that it's coming from that?
How confident are you it's coming from the hospital?
90.
Okay.
That's pretty.
I mean, I pulled the manholes. We looked in every manhole in that area, and we found no rags in any of them
Except-
that one that's leaking.
Did you happen to take video of that?
We have pictures of it.
Yep.
Yes,
Okay,
we did.
we will address that.
Yeah.
As far as the electrical issue, I don't want to say it's designed improperly, but could the design be improved?
We have improved it. We've now put in proper breakers and overloads in it, which we had to add a panel to it. We just completed that because they were undersized, and the cabinet they were in, the correct one would not fit in it. So we had to add a new panel.
Who was the
inside of it.
who originally designed that?
I wasn't here when it was designed, so I'm not sure.
Okay.
It was in operation when I got here, Brian. Sorry.
Okay.
Thanks, Raymond. Anybody, any other questions?
Can we skip back?
We'll take care of the hospital.
Yeah. I forgot to ask this during the water part, but
Sure.
let me ask it. Electricity. I noticed that the number is pretty identical to last year, you know, that's what we're tracking, but we're going to be adding 2 more wells, which is going to increase that amount. Are we allowing for that, or what?
There'll be some tolerances in that number as well. I don't. What's he going to? I'm assuming you're going to have some sort of 220 over there.
Yeah, I think we need to put 480, and it's cheaper to run.
Okay.
So that's what we need to.
So that big hiccup's going to be will be the initial setup, but the actual and that'll be paid for out of capital expenditures. That'll be paid for out of the well production. The actual
Okay.
in his electricity budget, it's not going to significantly impact.
Okay, okay. On that well that you took me out to that one time and needed a 3-phase line on it, and y'all were gonna run it from the county, because, you know, did that ever?
Oh, yeah, we got that taken care of,
Yeah.
well 6,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Okay.
It was tripping hourly, and it would take 3 hours before it cooled down. It hasn't tripped one.
You did that in what, February?
We'll see in February.
Okay.
It was completed in February. It's done.
Thanks, Raymond. Anything else for Raymond? Great job, Raymond. Thank you again for what you do.
Appreciate it, Rick.
Thanks, Raymond. So that concludes all of the department heads' presentations. So the floor is open to council. Any additions, corrections, comments y'all want to make?
Only comments is, you know, of course, roads, you got it in the budget. I'd like to identify which ones we're gonna do.
Okay.
They have Raymond, heck of a job. If you see anything upcoming, I mean, not necessarily this year, but next year, or something that we need to start planning ahead, you know, especially wastewater, water, and especially the water lines. Let's start thinking of a plan to replace them, a section at a time every year.
Okay.
Leah, any remarks? Norm? Amy? Greg?
Great job. Appreciate all the work.
I'll tell you, Chief Lenore, we will be on your project. I promise you. We'll get you help as soon as we can do it. And the same way with Chief West, and I think we're on an upswing, and we're going to do things as we can, but we want to be prudent and good stewards of what we have or as what's coming in. So I promise you guys, going ahead, we'll try to make it work. If there's not any other questions, we're adjourned at 8:05. Make a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion, we adjourn?
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Don't break the tape.
Break it, it gets